All right. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
Hello.
It's been a minute. We know, don't be mad, but maybe you have been going through some stuff too in the past month, month and a half. Um, Welcome back to Ask an Auntie Oracle.
Yay.
Um, Yeah, we needed to take a break. There was just a lot happening in our personal lives. I got sick twice. I got sick in October and November. We're releasing this episode in the beginning of December, December 1st. And we wanted to tell you, you are listening to Ask an Auntie Oracle After Hours, episode 5. And for the first time, ever, we're sharing this on all of our platforms as a way to just let you know that we're still out here doing stuff and recording these episodes. We just need sometimes some grace with y'all, like receiving these episodes because life is lifing for us too. So you are able to access this an Auntie Oracle After Hours episode on all platforms. And for our Patreon members, you can also comment, reach out to us. We're going to be sharing our email addresses in the Patreon notes. If you want to directly message us, any questions, suggestions, or just like say hi, share things, reflections. And we also have the surprise for our Patreon members. We're going to be releasing another After Hours episode in mid-December just to make up for, the one we missed in November. Um, and I really want to say thank you to Mary for giving that suggestion. Um, Yeah. What do you think, Mary? Like now that we're gonna offer this first after hours episode to everyone for the first time, how are you feeling about that?
Wow. I mean, I feel really good about that. It's definitely life has been lifing, and I know that our offerings, we are both oracles in service, and we are also always going through our own schooling and our own divine curriculum and divine assignment from the multiverse and all of the principles and forces and spirits. And so it's a reset, and I'm really excited to do this reset as we wind down the 2025 year, 2025. And so I think it's really excited. I think, I mean, we've definitely had our reset, or what I like to call the death of a lot of cycles. We're just now really initiating going into our new cycles. And so to be able to reset and make this offering in this way across all platforms is also really beautiful and powerful to me, because it is inviting you all in from all platforms to join us with these next cycles, and they're for sure collective as well as individual. So, and also being mindful that I understand that everyone certainly does not have the access to be able to subscribe to a Patreon membership. And so it's balancing out the fact that we have been in the cave, right? We've been, or in the womb, or, right, the womb of the tomb that is the dying, and letting go of some old patterns and cycles that we're going to touch on today. And we balance out wanting to make this open to everyone, and also being mindful for those of you who are paying for Patreon. We did miss the November after I asked an Auntie Oracle After Hours video on Patreon in November. So we're also making up for the fact that we missed a month. And so that's why we're going to be offering. And we also missed a month with our YouTube channel, like our virtual community space that's open and accessible to anyone that has access to Wi-Fi or to mobile data on a phone or what have you, or even going into a public library or some kind of a facility where you can access those resources. We're balancing out, getting up to speed with our virtual community at as a whole, and also with the folks who are paying to have this time, right? And this medicine. So yeah, I feel really good about it.
Yeah. So hopefully that's like a gift, a present
Mhm.
that y'all are excited to receive. And this is a timely theme or topic. Mary and I had the download to talk about this topic, I think maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Um, and we're like, we gotta, that's the one. That's what we're gonna talk about. So, Mary, do you want to share what the theme for today is?
The theme of today for today is reckoning. I think it's a word we have been using a lot consistently since we launched Ask an Auntie Oracle. And really what I'm sitting with is reckoning is the way to actually navigate the cycle, the full cycle of life, which is threefold. It's birth, death, and rebirth. And so I think of reckoning to wreck or to end the old patterns. We're talking about death. Death is a part of life. It's a necessary part of life, and it's a necessary, and death does not simply mean the transitioning out of the human incarnate form. It means whenever we're reckoning with and we are facing the truth about what no longer serves us and what we really strive to become on the other side of the transitional phase of what no longer serves us. And that transitional phase is always, every step is always through reckoning. And I think a lot of times it does show up like a wrecking, a tower moments. Tower moments are not bad, right? Death moments are absolutely essential for us to be able to continue to grow and to evolve. So it's reckoning to wreck the old cycles in order to die to the old cycles, to be reborn into the new. And so that's what today's theme is, which is we're going to break it down. I know it sounds real lofty and but it's like chop wood, carry water. We always break stuff down over here.
Yes. And speaking of breaking down, I feel like a good place for us to start is how each one of us might define what reckoning means. I know you already shared like what the
Hmm.
cycle or process of it,
Hmm.
just an overview, but
Hmm.
maybe our own personal definitions of reckoning. Um, and then maybe we can go into just sharing some examples of the
Yeah,
process of it.
sounds great.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, with me, we talk up. So the what for me is we are here. We go through many life cycles in many through the course of a lifetime. And what I mean by that is we go through birth, death, rebirth of old patterns, of old behaviors, within ourselves, of old beliefs, of illusions, of the first part of my life, really our lives on planet Earth, is to develop an ego, but it is also, we get conditioned to identify almost fully with our false selves. And so the whole point of unlearning is to undo that conditioning. And in order to undo that conditioning, so that we can continuously give birth more and more and more to our true selves, is always through reckonings. And so for me, reckoning is sitting with myself, being really, really honest about how I'm really feeling, taking inventory of every kind of relationship in my life, starting with the one with myself, in the workplace, within the community, within my families, within my friendships, within any kind of other kinds of partnerships. It's really reckoning is sitting with and taking stock with a lot of compassion and a lot of patience of my 100% of 50% of every single one of those exchanges and those relationships. 100% of 50%. And then thinking about what kind of boundaries do I want to have moving forward, most of them being within myself. So reckoning is the how to. The what is navigating this thing called life. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here for this thing called life, understanding that it is cyclical, just like nature. Our birth is the spring, our death is going into the winter or the, whatever. I was born, I'm a winter solstice baby, honey, sag, shag. But anyway, it's the how. It's how we navigate this in very intentional, conscious ways. These constant cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. And it's just like nature. It's just like we're going into the death cycle. We're going into the winter, which gives way for new life in the spring. It's a transitional period, and it's not an ending, it's a changing of form of the energy and the essence of life. And reckoning is how I do that. And it starts out by reflecting on, okay, this is where I am. This is where I am in relationship to myself, my practices, my habits, whatever, what's going on with my health, all the things, what's going on with my purpose. Like I work for, I'm on divine purpose, in divine purpose. So reckoning is the how, the how, the how, the how. That's how I would say it, just like really being descriptive with it.
Yeah, I super relate to that, especially the part where you said like taking into account. Like you're it's almost like you're gathering up all of your receipts and like
Mm-hmm.
choosing to confront it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I guess a simple way I would define reckoning is choosing to confront reality, choosing
Mm-hmm.
to confront the truth of reality. And when I was thinking in my head, what is the Tagalog version of reckoning? The closest word that I can think of is pagtutuos, so Pagtutuos. And in Tagalog, I love how expansive like non-Anglo languages are because like it's very context based. When you say pagtutuos in Tagalog, you can say like you're literally breaking it down, like taking into account like profits and losses. You could say something like that, right? Having very clear, data to show you what's going on. And that's kind of like a form of reckoning, is just having very clear information to analyze this is the state of this right now. And then pagtutuos also can mean like a showdown, like a confrontation, but that's very almost like in your face, like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
looking at you type of confrontation. And I very much feel that with the reckoning. It's not just like, oh, I realized some stuff. It kind of hits you at the side of your head, shakes you up, and is just like, girl, listen, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? Like stop
Mm-hmm.
being delulu, basically. It's like almost the opposite of delusional, right? Reckoning is
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah, yeah,
facing
for real.
what really is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love the Tagalog way that we talk about it, because it's that confrontation with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're choosing it willingly, I think. And sometimes it just smacks you
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to face it. That's definitely how it's felt these past couple of months. I don't know about you, Mary. How has your reckoning of your, birth, death, rebirth
Mm-hmm.
cycles, how have they been arriving for you, I guess, is what I want to know.
Yeah, it's been building because I intentionally, consciously have been doing this kind of process for a long time. And I think it's really important. I want to remind you all, we are multi-generational aunties, oracles. So I'm Gen X, very much Gen X, an older Gen X. And Maio, you are millennial. So for me, and I'm in my second Saturn return, I do, and so I believe in the alignment of the cosmos and the stars and planets. It's way more than, it goes way beyond personality type. So what I say, being as intentional as I have been, the reckoning has been happening I call it traversing the sacred spiral, whether upward or downward, whichever we choose, because we don't actually have to do anything. There's a lot of people that are still choosing not to sit with the truth, and their worlds are imploding. They're absolutely just imploding, and right, because they keep choosing the false self. And so we're at a crossroads collectively when that is no longer sustainable, and all of the accountability, it's all happening now. Like it's right. It's going to take time for it to play out in the linear time space construct. But like, so for me, it's always acknowledging because part of reckoning and telling the radical truth is we choose. We choose. We don't have to do shit. We actually don't have to do shit. Because I believe in giving myself credit. That's liberation. That's how we liberate ourselves. We don't have to. You get to choose, and we're gonna have consequences for all of it. It's been very incremental. I would say that for me, it's really showed up when I got to go on sabbatical. And this whole from January of 2025 through July of 2025. And so I've been having the reckonings happening, and what's happening is the spiraling, it's getting tighter and tighter. So there's not as much of a transitional time between all the stuff with, first of all, my relationship with self, my most intimate relationships with family members. It's just been this successive spiraling and spiraling upward of reckoning with these relationships and how I have been showing up and how I have been very, very intentionally choosing to fully break these shackles of these intergenerational chains. Because I come by them through my ancestors being genocided in the most unspeakable, horrific ways, all the way up to the present time, and also being literally shackled. And so it's been, it's not like, oh, you do it and you're just done. And it's so I, but it's so it's been showing up continuously since because I really focus. I've really been focusing and on deepening the resources and the time and the energy that I have chosen to and have the time and expansive space to do. And I would say that it is definitely it's coming to a head and coming to a climax. Now that I've been back in my position since August, and I'm so excited because things have come to a head, and I'm recognizing some really, really, really deep truths that are catapulting me um, to really shift my focus in ways that I already was wanting to do and planning to do and choosing to do. And now it is absolutely essential to get outside of these systems and to go back full circle to the community because that's always that's where the power has always been with the like-minded, like-spirited collective of people who have been able to create enough of a common ground around our respective reckonings. I mean, this is literally Ubuntu. This is literally, it is the beloved community where the individuals who are doing the work are as important and, in fact, are the ingredients that make up the whole. And so the individuals are valued as much as the collective itself. And so it's been a process. And I will say that it's been really powerful to close out a 7 year cycle at my current position with my purpose-filled life. Um, and then to come out of that sacred kind of time to really reflect and rest and to then start putting the wisdom into application. And now that I'm closing out my first year back, which was always going to be a transitional year, I'm so excited because the spring is going to be about transitioning into the new phase. And so the new rebirth chapter. So a lot of times the reckoning overlaps. When I say, oh, it's birth, death, it's like a lot of times it's like having a baby. It takes, how many hours does it take to have a push out a baby before the head starts crowning, or hopefully the head starts crowning if the baby ain't turned upside down or the feet ain't coming out, or you know what I'm saying? And so it's like just like nature. Look at nature. Look at the cycle. A lot of times the cycles they overlap. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's really cold, and right now in Tennessee it's like 75 degrees. But this time, right, it's not. So I know I'm giving some descriptors, but the way it shows up is it's actually, to me, this is actually the process of life itself. So there's never a time when the reckoning is not showing up. And like, again, it's to take stock and say, oh, I'm taking back my power. I choose. I don't have to do anything. That's me choosing this. That's power. That's liberation. I'm choosing this. I ain't got to do shit. And it's also like, it's just, when we live life and we're always doing it, the choice is are we doing it consciously and intentionally? Are we doing it by having facing our ego death? Because a lot of this is about ego death after the different layers of the ego and the false self. We're always doing it. The question is, are we doing it consciously and intentionally or unconsciously and unintentionally? Or and some of us choose to do it by, oh no, I'm going to choose the ego. Okay. How's that working out for you? Okay. Like we do choose. So that's a long answer for that.
But I get it. Like the choice or the free will to have your own reckoning
Yes.
is I think the distinction. Because like what Mary was sharing, reckonings are always happening. This cycle of birth, death, rebirth is it's life itself, right? So as long as you alive, in some way, reckonings are happening. It's just, are you choosing to reckon with it yourself, in yourself, intentionally, consciously? And I would also add integrating whatever lessons you're getting from that reckoning with yourself into your life so that the cycle of birth, death, rebirth can actually be shifted towards what is in alignment with you and where you're at. And this is not morally sound. Like you could be like, I'm acting out of ego. And that is that's what I want to do. That's what I'm choosing. And then that's what's gonna happen. Um, and the other thing I would also add is that Mary was mentioning is there's always karmic consequences to all of those choices. And that's why the reckoning is a continuous process, whether or not you choose to be intentional about it. Because either way, you making choices in your life. You wake up in the morning, what you do decide to do with your time, right? Where is how is that being guided? How you use your time. Even that, right? How you're using your time, the 24 hours in the day you got, what you're choosing to eat, what you're choosing to wear, who you're choosing to talk to or not talk to, how you're choosing to show up in spaces or choosing to retreat. All of these choices are guided by, you know, you basically. Like that's your gift of free will, and those choices all have different forms of karmic consequences. And so the reckoning comes in where it's just like, are you taking account of, inventory of the karmic consequences of your decisions so that you can have that wider view snapshot of like, do I like who I am? Do I like where I'm at in life? Is this in alignment with what I say I am and what I say I want to do? And it's kind of that process, at least for me, um, that that is what reckoning looks like. Lately, I the process looks like, if I have to make a decision around something such as I I have a hard time asking for help,
Mm.
especially around financial support. And me and Mary have talked about this and we share that challenge, and the reckoning came as just like I here, the immediate need is like, girl, we live in this world where you need finances to access material needs, period. Right? That's the reality. And if you don't have enough financial means, then you have to seek those financial means somewhere else or ask for the support, right? So I start sitting with myself and I'm like, why is it hard for me to ask for help with money when it comes to people I know I love and that love me and have actually shown support to me? Why is this act of asking for their help feel so shameful. And I had
Mm.
to really, really identify that. It's like, oh, it's uncomfortable. Like, get underneath that layer. What is underneath the discomfort? What is it really, though? I feel ashamed. I feel like I'm desperate. I feel like I'm inadequate because I couldn't provide for myself and now I have to rely on somebody else. And I'm like, where did I learn all of these things from? Like how was that something that convinced me about who I am? And then, and then you go the layers deeper with that. Well, I grew up poor. I grew up in poverty, and poverty is very violent. And I say that in the sense of I grew up in an abusive household, a physically abusive household, and my parents fought a lot, especially around money. And and to witness that and to also feel the impacts or the consequences of them having also a hard time figuring out money. They're trying to raise five children and they don't come from means themselves, and the intersections of like race and gender and citizenship and all of that impacting and compounding how they're navigating this, and how does that show up? They get mad at each other, and they shame each other for not providing, what they think the other person should provide. And seeing that play out as a child, and then realizing that those have roots inside of me. um that's where I get a lot of my shame from. And and then now then that's just another part of the reckoning. Okay, I now know the root causes of my shame around asking for help with money. What do I want to do with this information? Because the reality is I still need help. I know where this shame comes from. So how do I push through? How do I get to the other side with myself and take that leap of faith, as uncomfortable and tension filled as it might feel? How do I still push past that feeling so I don't have to keep it inside?
Mm.
And that's really for me where the reckoning starts to integrate, because you might
Mhm, mhm,
know, you've taken an account of this is the situation, this is where it comes from, these are the conditions that created it. And now that I know that, how am I going to confront this reality?
mhm,
And the first, like, you know, thing that I had to really accept is I don't have to do this based on trauma.
mm,
I don't have to ask for the support, bringing my trauma in it. I can ask for the support to show how much I'm grateful instead.
mhm,
So there was a reframe that had to happen. I'm
mm,
not
mhm,
asking for support because I'm traumatized or my trauma is speaking for me. I'm asking for support from particular people and communicating with them. Thank you for being someone in my community who I can be vulnerable with and honest with, to ask for support because it's something that I have a hard time doing. So thank you for being someone that I feel that I can safely share this with. And that's how I approached it. It's
mhm,
with gratitude and
mhm,
not from shame.
mhm,
And every single person I asked for help from helped me. No questions asked. Some of them just gifted it. Some of them were just like, whenever you can pay me back. Some other friends like, oh, I have this opportunity. I want you to be part of it.
mhm, mhm,
That's so there's also other ways support
mhm,
can show up. And it's
mhm,
not always about money.
mm-mm, mm-mm,
And that was the part that really, I think, humbled and kind of embraced even that traumatized shame part of me. Is like, look
mhm,
at what happened because you were able to push through. um, you were able to receive things that you didn't even realize was possible to receive.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll segue on that, Maio, and there's so many recent examples. I will give an example where the root cause is also, to me, the root cause of everything is tied to anything and everything that has happened that causes us to forget the beautiful creations and the powerful creations we really are. And so, what do I mean by that? So, I'm going to do something that also has to do with initially part of the reckoning of this was me sitting with judging myself because this experience that happened was too superficial, right? It was too, like, what is this? Why? Like, this is so stupid. This is so silly. So, I had a recent experience where part of what I do is I love to physically move. I have a lot of energy, and I will say I love to walk outside. I take myself for a walk. I walk myself. I'm an endorphins girl, so I love cardio. I love dancing, so I go to Zumba. And the first thing that I do when I move to a new community is look for a gym to join. And so when I moved to Modesto in 2018, what I love about living in California is there are actually specific chains that are created by people in the state of California that are not national chains. They're literally like Grocery Outlet or In Shape. It's not 24 fit hour fitness, it's not LA Fitness, it's not any of those national chains. So I start going, and I've been going ever since 2018. It's now 2025. And you start seeing the same people. And so I'm friendly with people. I talk with people, even just going out in the community. I like see people's like, oh, you're the Zumba lady, you know? And so there's literally like this Modesto in the Central Valley does not have many Black people at all. And so with this particular class, there's one Black woman that has been like very regular like me, older Black woman, beautiful like Black woman. And she would start speaking to me, and she's kind of like the HBIC. So she kind of has these other non-Black women who kind of are satellites that orbit around her, you know? And I knew from some years ago, like there was also a openly queer Black man in our class that is primarily gendered in terms of women. And one of the first things that I noticed about her was I thought she was okay and fine, but she would start saying slick homophobic stuff out of her mouth. So she would be saying stuff. She wouldn't just come out and say, oh, like, I don't like XYZ, but she would say stuff that was very clear. And I was like, oh God, oh, okay. And I continue to just be nice and greet people and just kind of chit chat with people. So let's forward wind to this current fall. And a little bit over a month ago, she had invited me out um to be with her and her clique of non-Black women, Black women who may be, I'm gonna turn 57. I'm Sag gang, gang, gang. On winter solstice, I turn 57. So a lot of times these women are younger than me, or I'm their peer, but they don't know that. I don't know, whatever to that. So they have the complexion for the protection, but not the real protection from the ultraviolet radiation. That's all I'm gonna say. So basically, she invited me to an event. And then when I went back to classes, I just go to these classes. Maio's known I've gone back and forth around spiritual boundaries, around not being in certain spaces because of energy and getting to the place where I fucking belong, wherever I am, because I am. And I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna protect my energy and I'm gonna pay it no dust. Marsha P. Johnson, pay it no mind, is what the P stands for. If you know, you know. So it's this because everything's energy. So when I go back to the next class, so we actually, for the first time, I exchanged my phone number. And I had forgotten her name, so I got her name, and then we exchanged phone numbers so she could text me. So basically, as the evening of the event is getting closer, I don't hear anything. I was like, oh, this isn't string, it's whatever. So I go back to the Zumba class, they're there, and then there's this very funky, mean girl, junior high energy. We all know what that's like. The very cliquish, the very nasty, totally icing me out. I was like, well, first of all, I didn't ask you to come over here. I didn't send for you. Second of all, I don't like the insecurity and the hateration of it all. And I knew exactly because it was the woman, one of the well, all of them are non-black. Whatever she looks like, she may be Assyrian, something. I don't care. Portuguese, whatever. She's like, look, oh, why is it, so then they're being cliquish, they're being nasty, mean girl stuff, and it stings. It hurts because I'm human. I felt it in my body. So the first thing with reckoning is accepting whatever feelings come up
Ooh,
and
yes.
not judging that, not judging it. It is. This is, and even for me to even still, it stung. Like, I'm minding my business now, and then I'm in the part of the phase where I'm like, okay, that is true. And multiple things can be true at once. So then 401, the next day I was like, oh, and then even I'm like, oh yeah, she's not messaging me or anything. So yeah, I wasn't imagining it. So the third part of reckoning is, oh no, I know what's happening in front of me. Everything is energy. It don't even take being super intuitive to clock that T. So clock the T. Clock the T internally and what's going on around you. Because trust, I trust my intuition. I do not second guess my intuition. I'm open to the sacred pause, to sitting with something, to reflecting on something. But anyway, it's literally the evening before everyone's getting together. And I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. And I'm walking out and it's all this whole crowd of them. And it's just like, like all clustered together, laughing and laughing. And I can feel the energy of, oh, you want me to see this. You want to tear me down. You want to cut me down to size. And it brought up all of these childhood memories of being the outsider and the misfit and the scapegoat in my own family. Because I've always been the truth teller and I've always been the cycle breaker from an incredibly young age because my abuse started when I was 4 or younger. My rape started when I was 4, at least that my mind recalls. Deep, deep, deep wounds. I've done a lot of healing because we're gonna call it what it is. We're not saying child molestation no more. We're talking about rape. I'm talking about sodomy when I was 4. And I've done so, and I have. There's been, again, this is an ongoing process. So now it's to the point where it didn't like, and to have feelings is another thing about reckoning. Shut out all the words, all the chatter, all the narratives and the discourse and on social media. To feel is not to be triggered. Our feelings let us know exactly what's going on. Our feelings are our emotional and spiritual immune system. Just like Maio, you said that you got sick a couple of times. Feelings let me know, oh, there's some stuff. First of all, it is hurtful. And second of all, the next part of the reckoning came with, okay, sitting with what had this whole cycle of things. And I am fucking gonna be 57 years old and people are still running around acting like sixth graders, because of course we are. Because we're all those different parts of ourselves at those different ages. And what I did is the next part of reckoning is I gave myself permission to sit in that. Okay, what is going on? I understand what and giving those parts, it was like different parts. Well, I'm pissed because I was baby, if you bucked and you nucked, that was me. Well, I'm pissed. I don't like a bully. Da, da, da. And I was like, and then there was a part of me is like, that hurt. Like that stings. That hurt my feelings. And I was like, then the adult or the older part of me said, Mary, I'm not a victim. All of that is true. And I knew for years that this lady is homophobic. I knew, been knowing for years This is a toxically, patriarchally identified woman, black woman doing this to a queer black man. I knew this. So I'm like, so now I'm shifting into, oh, yeah, it hurts. And I'm not a victim because I've been clocking this lady's team. So then came asking myself the question, why? Why did I even agree to actually, this is beyond saying hi and bye or whatever and exchanging. It's literally called niceties. Look the word up. Niceties. It's one thing to exchange pleasantries. Why did I agree to go out with her without, why did I give her my number when I've been knowing this about her? Then I'm being complicit and I'm enabling this toxic behavior. It's a death by a thousand cuts, all these little ways, right, that we hurt each other and that we subscribe to the illusion of separation. And I said to myself, being honest with myself, I was being nice. I was like, why? Why am I being nice? I'm like, of course, all the things. Growing up in a household with intergenerational abuse because everybody wants to maintain appearances and everybody wants to keep it cute. And a 4-year-old is being terrorized, literally. But keep it cute, stay nice, shut your mouth, be a good girl. So then the application, the integration is fuck it, I'm not nice. I will never be nice again. I'm kind when it's called for. And when someone is bringing any kind of nasty energy, I am not meeting that with niceness. I will dismiss them from my presence and I will dismiss that energy. I've already done it internally. So the next part is the integration is so important because that's where I get real clear about my 100% of the 50%. Why am I continuing to be, oh, I know, I understand why now. Now, moving forward, I will put it into practice and I will never be nice. Nice is denial. Nice is fake. Nice is being complicit and silent and gaslighting ourselves and in our own abuse. Being nice and smiling is saying, oh, you can do whatever and you can hurt anybody. And then I'm being nice and smiling and then I'm being silent. So then you can say that I enjoyed it, my own demise, because this stuff has energy is energy. Doing that gets us to, oh, I'm going to be quiet and be nice and let this 4-year-old baby get terrorized by her own and her entire family, her entire community, because everyone's so hung up in being nice and keeping it pleasant and keeping it respectable. So now I'm going back to my Zumba class that I started going to pretty recently, and this gang, this clique comes over there, and I don't care. I'm in my space. I focus on the moving the energy and the joy. And if this woman comes up to me and tries to speak to me, I'm not going to be nice. This is the application of the integration. This is the putting into practice of the liberation part that comes through because of all of that reckoning. I promise you, if she comes up to me, I'm going, oh, excuse me? Are you are you talking to me? Oh, no, no, thank you. And then I'm going to walk away. First, I sat with feeling the feelings of feeling embarrassed and shame because why am I letting this bother me? This is all that I am a fucking human being and I have a right to my feelings. And really, the facts about feelings, the facts that don't care about the lies and the conditioning about what we've told about our feelings are. That's like saying, oh, I don't want to go to the bathroom. Oh, I don't want to sleep. Oh, well, how's that working out for you to not go to the bathroom or not sleep? You might want to die of sepsis shock. I don't. Remember, our feelings are, think about it as our spiritual and our emotional immune system. And so that's the full reckoning, reflection, looking in the mirror, taking accountability because accountability is power. Consequences run the entire continuum. The consequences of me standing on business for myself means I feel so good and I feel so free. The consequences of I will never gaslight myself or engage in denial or delusion at any level. I knew this woman was homophobic. That's all I need to know. I'm not going to be nice to that energy. I'm not going to be nice. And it seems superficial and it seems petty, and I don't care. Reckoning is I accept that, I integrate that, I liberate myself by recognizing I ain't no victim and I feel how I feel and I'm not a victim. And I saw this and I chose to ignore it and I understand where that comes from. And now the application of that integration is I will never be nice again. I am kind when it's, and I am real when I'm always real. Nice is not real to me. Nice is absolutely fake. Nice is an illusion. Nice is one of the ways that the Matrix has us fucked up. Never again. Now, am I civil? Am I respectful? Yes, that's not nice being nice. There's people I just clap back at someone stepping to me with nasty energy through email, and it was the utmost in civility and respectfulness. And I read that bitch for the filth, and it was cold as ice. And she probably had to get a thesaurus to look up some of the words that I wrote in the email. It was very perfect, everything, but it wasn't nice. Stand up. Stop being weak. Ain't shit got to do being nice with all these demons and gargoyles. Oh, ain't nothing nice about me. I'm real. I'm not nice. I'm kind. I'm not nice. I'm compassionate. I'm not nice. I'm respectful because I believe in that. I'm not nice. That's the reckoning. I wanted to just show kind of a continuum of what it looks like. That the source of all of this stuff, regardless of what activates and gets us, because we're always in the process. The question is when this stuff comes up and it does feel uncomfortable, is that's an invitation. That's a time for us to sit with ourselves because the reckoning, and really, I call this era in the history of humanity the Great Reckoning. Everything, we're in it. We're in it up to here. It's collective. And what does that mean? We, each individual, it means the reckonings are happening and I love it. It's really invigorating. It's re-energizing. And it that it hurt. It hurt my feelings. It stung. And I'm like, even that, why? These are not, I don't know these people. I know and there's a certain level of just basic human interaction and going to these classes for years and having, and still in exercising, I'll say hi and bye. I don't have any problems greeting someone, but no, never again. When I see someone is shady and their energy is out of alignment, because being homophobic is fucking, that's out of alignment. I don't care. If it's shady and it's toxic, I'm gonna call that what it is. Then I'm not gonna F with you. No, thank you.
What you were sharing, Mary, reminded me of the Zora Neale Hurston quote. If you are silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it.
I was paraphrasing it. Thank you. And
Yeah,
as Zora Neale Hurston and Audre Lorde, our silence will not protect us. Being nice is being silent. Being nice is censoring ourselves. Being nice is worse than that. Being nice is, it's being a pick me. Oh, multiple, she didn't just say slick homophobic shit out of the side of her mouth and the side of her neck one time. This was not an isolated incident, but I'm like, oh, but I'm in the club, I never again. Oh, she's not going to do it to me because, I'm not a man and I'm not get that's the internalized white supremacy. That's internalized anti-blackness. I was like, no, I have no interest in that
yeah.
anymore. I'm not nice. Never again. I will
And it
never be
had come
nice.
with, and that came with that reckoning, that
It came with that reckoning. It
that
was the last straw
decision
for
that
me.
you made with
hmm
yourself.
hmm
So
Yeah.
in this last like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
because I know we're rounding out the hour, you were already starting to touch on why this is important for people to know what reckoning is, to undergo a process of reckoning, and
hmm
that we are always in one, but
hmm
particularly right now with
hmm
what things are going on in our
hmm
communities, in our society,
hmm
country, world, and our access to, with using technology to see the reckonings
hmm
happening in multiple spaces.
hmm
That's why we chose this topic. One of the main reasons we chose it is because we know that this is happening internally, and our world is just a reflection of our state
hmm
of being. And we knew that, like, maybe people needed some guidance, some support, maybe hearing from some auntie oracles about how they process reckoning, and also
hmm
seeing that here are some gifts of reckoning, here are some benefits. It's
That
similar
are
to
also
marriage
consequences.
because it's all karmic consequence. It's
All
all
of it.
karmic. You know
Yeah,
what I
all of
mean?
it. Karmic is not bad. It's not negative. It's neutral.
Yeah.
It's like karmic is just cause and effect. It's like, oh, I turn on the light switch, the lights come on. If the lights don't, right? I understand there's a lot of baggage around these words. Karmic is simply cause and effect, cause and effect.
Yes.
Any cause, powerful causes, causes where we are reclaiming our power. The effects of that is incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, and maybe in this last segment we can share like
hmm
the power of reckoning,
mm
especially in navigating not just like maybe our internal stuff, which is
Yeah, for
the
sure.
examples that you and I just shared, but maybe in navigating life itself, and these reflections that we're seeing on the outside of what's going on, which I understand can be really disorienting for a lot of people, not just the younger generations, like
Mhm.
feeling a sense of like hopelessness or unease around the future. But I think a lot of people might be reckoning with themselves because it's so in your face right now,
Yeah.
the oppression, the violence, the exploitation, the hatred,
hmm
and
hmm
it can happen to anyone, and there's this sense of like it's almost like a fear mongering, especially I think in a
hmm
lot of these platforms of like media, to make people feel like I don't trust anybody, I don't want to talk to anybody, or I don't believe anything, or the other extreme of just like believing in anything that's shown to you, and you don't want to be the person who rocks the boat or makes it worse, so you don't want to reckon with the fact that that shit is wrong when people
hmm
are acting in ways that it's perpetuating violence and harm, and you're in that and you're witnessing that, you're seeing it, you're feeling it in your body. Do you go through a reckoning with that, similar to with what Mary was sharing? It's just like
hmm
no more, no more, we ain't doing this shit no more.
Less so.
Yeah.
hmm
What do you think, Mary?
I would say that two things. One is going to be a call to action.
Okay,
What
let's
I
hear.
love is that, first of all, social media is like the 21st century version, in some ways, electricity. I'm not that it's a neutral power. It depends on how you use it. I've known people whose family members have died because they've been in the bathtub when we were using old school radios and the radio fell in the water and electrocuted them. I also know that, for example, if you have any kind of electric heat, people are able to live and not freeze to death. In or where I grew up in Arkansas, people who did not have a central air conditioning every summer, elderly and young children, and people who had compromised respiratory system issues would die every summer where I grew up because it was so hot and it was so humid. Right. So it's how we use it. And so what I would say is I subscribe because I have a lot of background knowledge to be able to vet with. There are so many content creators that are so well informed, that are so critical, that are really pushing out on the ground news accounts of like, I learned about what's happening in Memphis right now because, for example, I subscribe to Status Coup News. It's a content, right? It's STATUS coup, COUP instead of status quo, right? So I was able to see an on the ground community organizer who was a Black woman being interviewed through Zoom or StreamYard, and then showing all of the different footage and the video footage of what ICE and DEA and FBI and all of them are doing in Memphis. And so I would say is I have not subscribed to mainstream media for decades. So the other thing I would say is I am so inspired by the also dissemination of support and of calling out and also exposing of the Epstein files because this whole system is primarily built, always has been, on the absolute intentional exploitation, rape, and violation of children and minors, period. Happens in it, right? And so, and this administration is imploding, it's crumbling, and the current administration is about to be rendered lame duck, right? Because it's to the point now where Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was a really prominent and loud and really obnoxious and awful Trump MAGA supporter, she's resigned. And think now I wish that these folks would stand up to Trump, but like they're about to possibly resign in mass because what's in the files are so damning and across with Russia, Putin, money, all this stuff, that the Democrats may have a majority in the House even before the midterm elections, and we need to get the right people in there. I understand politics. My parents have had me in politics since I was 9. There's a lane for everything. And it's because the collective of people have kept our feet on the gas and it's working. And this stuff is crumbling fast. The next call to action, I would say, is for reckoning is our money and our dollars count. And this is about unmitigated greed. And so I invite everyone to only shop at local, non-national chains, to not go to any of the stores that are actively colluding with Trump and have been with the fascism and the hate from November 25th to December 2nd. Go to, if you can, the little bodegas, the little mom and pop places, the food trucks, the whatever. It's a call to action so that we are starving them of what they want the most, which is the money. So, on a collective level, I feel a lot of effing hope because what we're doing is working. These protests matter. Economic boycotts simply from not pressing buttons on our computer matter. We are bringing all of this stuff to its knees as it continues to destroy itself from the inside out. So that's what I would say on a collective level. And I have never seen this country or any society come out so strongly on behalf of children and teenagers. I never thought I would see it in a lifetime. In my lifetime, I never thought I would see it. That's it.
Woo! I love these calls to action and as you were sharing, and it's very simple, right? I think Mary
It's really simple. Yeah.
is saying like be critical about where you're getting your informational sources as much as possible from folks who are doing on the ground grassroots work and documenting that and sharing from the folks who are actually experiencing it
In the communities,
in the communities.
because there's status quo is a good place to start
Yeah.
that
And
does
so
that.
being
Yeah.
being critical of where you're getting your informational
Hmm.
resources, make sure it's from the folks who are actually on the ground and with
Hmm.
communities who are frontline experiencing these things. Second is being intentional about where you're spending your money. That's not perpetuating the investment of fascism, colonialism, imperialism, and exploitation. And something I tell people is like, I might be poor, but I'm not broke because like when you're poor, you start, it's like the third space too. It's like you're marginalized. People don't give a shit about me and they don't think I have money, right? Like, so first of all, I can't even access a lot of things that are actually being sold by multinational corporations. And I do rely on smaller bodegas, markets, locally owned mom and pop stores, um, because that's actually what's more accessible for
Hmm.
me. And
That's
I
right.
think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is y'all can learn something about how folks in the community like that, are poor actually are resourceful
Hmm.
with their money and where they spend it. Um, and I can't speak for all. I just can just speak for me that the like the bodegas and especially the Asian bodega grocery stores that we shop at, um, there's like fresher produce and it's more and they accept EBT and they are just like more personable with you and
Hmm.
you can ask
Yeah.
questions of like
Yeah.
what can I use, like
Hmm.
I only got $10, auntie, like what do you I
Hmm.
want to make a soup. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
You suggest that I use and they'll actually
Hmm.
really help you, and
Yeah.
it's more about building those types of relationships.
Yeah.
And then like it's it's a reframe, which I think is a
Yes.
benefit of the reckoning, because once
It's, yeah, you remix. I love it. You flip the script. Like I wanted to say that when you were talking about the grass shifting, reframing from shame to gratitude. And it's like, oh, you flip the script. We call that remix and reckoning for the remix.
yeah, it is.
It
And
really is
like,
a remix. It's a
and it
reframe.
doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be like for the reason of like, I fucking can't take this shit anymore. That's one
No,
way you can,
that's
I
one
mean,
way.
it's one way you can have a reckoning where it's just like,
Hmm.
fuck this shit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
This, I'm gonna
Yeah.
change the shit that I absolutely cannot take anymore.
Right.
That's one approach to the reckoning. The other approach is one that is more expansive, and this is the one that
Yes.
I want to promote to people as another call of action is be expansive in your reckoning. How can you make your resistance generative? When you say no to something, how does it make way for your yes to come?
Yes. Yes.
And it's fun. You can be
It's so
creative
much
with that.
fun.
I
I'm
was like,
getting my whole life.
I'm
I'm
learning
getting
how to
my
make a lot of
whole
soup
life.
right now. Like I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Girl. Girl.
Making this shit work, but also it's like this is some
Yes.
delicious soup, and it's
Right,
like,
we get really creative. Let me tell you,
yeah,
I cook the best and I dress the best when I got a whole lot of dirty clothes, as long as I got some clean, chonies, or when I'm getting low in the pantry, because that's when I get really creative. And
yes,
my thing is, I want to carry this over, which I, regard like the thing about being resourceful is I'm always going to my little Filipino Vietnamese bodega, like that's right. I don't care if I just get paid and I'm low on funds. Like I keep going back. I know my go-to things and items that I get there, and I do that, and then I'm building on that. Like you said, it's like these are great practices to do in order to reframe and be proactive, and it's so much fun. And then like I want to say, like I was just there. I ran by my. I get my aloe vera child. I've turned into an old auntie Asian lady because I love my ginger chews and my coconut water and my Asian eggplant that I learned how to cook with girl. I'd be tearing that stuff up. That's my favorite veggie right now. And I get my aloe vera water. And there was a woman in front of me who had gotten a few items, and she was putting together literally dollars and pennies in EBT, and she had limited EBT funds. And I stood back. First of all, I sat with myself of, oh, and I was like, well, I'm gonna, and I didn't even think about from a place of lack. Like, no, I'm just gonna sit back and bear witness to how this plays out. And the proprietress of the little bodega business said, oh, I'll work with you and put this much on EBT. You have this much left. And then there was some, and I knew I stood back and I bear witness to that. And it was beautiful
Yeah,
that like you're not going to get that experience even in like a non-national chain grocery store.
yeah.
And to be supporting, I felt so like I absolutely. I've been going there for a while. I took you over there. When I first moved over, I'm like, what is that? That look, I had to ask Maio, that looks, I don't know, that looks like it might be, I don't understand. It's looking
It
kind
looks
of
shady
sketchy
on
on
the
the
outside for
outside.
sure.
But then I started going in there, honey, when I tell you, and it goes back deep, like it goes back. So these are the kind of things, it's all from this a standpoint of abundance and to bear witness to that kind of community support. I'm like, oh, that's my spot now. That's my jammy jam. And to also add on to every time I go in now, I'm going to have all of those wonderful feelings of sitting back and understanding that you can get so many items for so little money that you stretch out, and it's the difference between someone going hungry or not.
Absolutely. And it's really that.
It's that how the
Thinking
community
about
is
any the
resourceful.
money is like, how can
Hmm.
we support this person to get what
Hmm.
they need, you
Hmm.
know? And again, that's more of an expansive, generative
It's yes.
approach than just like, I just got to make it through and this is all
Hmm.
I got. And, you
Hmm.
know, and part of the reckoning comes the expansiveness
Hmm.
of actually the opportunities once you
Hmm.
shift your mindset set,
Hmm.
shift your beliefs by because now you've reckoned with the root causes of what has perpetuated that behavior, that experience, that cycle. Now you are more informed on how you can change it and shift it. So I that's why me and Mary are excited for reckonings
Hmm.
because there's like, yes, transformation.
That's
Like,
how it,
let's go,
Mayo,
y'all.
I want to say your bar reckoning it's literally healing by reckoning with our root causes. What roots do we want to tend?
Yeah.
And what roots do we want to pull up and put back into Pachamama, back into some kind of like basically that's reckoning is about healing, whatever that looks like. And it's reckoning because when we truly reckon, we are tending to the root causes of our internal garden, right? Of cultivating and being intentional. Just like there's so many analogies with gardening and being so getting also being like Maya, which is I'm even now full circle. I feel more expansive in how I think of reckoning now versus like when I came in, that it can look all these different ways. It's really reckoning to tend to the root causes to cultivate our healing and our transformation.
Period. I think that's it, mic drop. You know what I mean? And I'm so excited to share this episode of After Hours with y'all on all platforms. So now y'all have a taste of what an after hours episode really looks like, feels like, sounds
Mhm.
like, and why, we want to encourage you to hopefully sign up for our Patreon. You get a 7-day free membership when you sign on, and it's only $5 a month after that. And that these after hours episodes are really curated
Yeah.
by Mary and I with our Auntie Oracle
Mhm.
downloads that we
Yeah.
are intuitively being
Yes.
told, talk about this, share this with them. If y'all are going through that, there's folks out there who's going through this as well and
Yeah.
might need this type of guidance from y'all, and that's really what I hope you felt today.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again for listening and being with us. For our Patreon members, you're gonna get a a special after hours episode in about 2 weeks' time. Um, and please comment, share, send us a note, email us, um, tell us what you think, your reflections,
Hmm.
any other questions that you have so that we can
Hmm.
stay in conversation together. And yeah, just thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.